First, welcome to our deep dive on saving during early retirement. Today we will challenge the myth that fixed income means you can stop saving. We will reframe saving from accumulation to preservation and protection, and we will show you how to calculate whether you are truly retired or just unemployed. We will also cover emergency buffers, inflation defense, and when it is safe to relax your frugality. Next, let's set the stage. In early retirement, especially due to medical necessity, your earned income stops and is replaced by guaranteed income sources. This feels secure, but the risk is that fixed income is not the same as fixed expenses, and it is not a replacement for liquidity. So let's map the journey and clarify what still needs to be saved and protected. Then, here is our agenda. We will define retirement as a financial state, perform the essential income minus expense calculation, explain why saving continues under a new purpose, differentiate emergency funds from guaranteed income, identify when it is safe to relax, give you step-by-step actions, and finally test your understanding with a couple of quick quizzes. Before we proceed, a quick disclaimer. This content is for educational purposes only and is not financial, legal, or tax advice. Your specific situation may differ materially, so consider consulting a qualified professional for personalized guidance. Moving forward, let's define retirement as a financial state. It is not about age, but about reliable cash flow. You total your guaranteed income from sources like pensions and Social Security. Then you total all predictable monthly expenses, including taxes and insurance. If income minus expenses yields a healthy surplus, you have financial freedom. If the difference is negative or near zero, you are financially vulnerable and should treat the situation as unemployment. Your focus then must be on generating a surplus or significantly cutting costs. Additionally, here are clear steps. First, list the guaranteed income from pensions and Social Security. Second, list predictable monthly expenses that include housing, utilities, groceries, transportation, insurance, healthcare, and taxes. Third, compute the net by subtracting predictable expenses from guaranteed income. Fourth, if the result is less than or equal to zero, focus on reducing costs or adding income until the figure is positive. Fifth, if positive, direct the surplus to saving and investing before discretionary spending. Sixth, revisit the calculation quarterly, adjusting for inflation and any changes in benefits. Furthermore, saving does not stop in early retirement. The purpose changes from building wealth to preserving purchasing power and protecting against shocks. Any surplus is not discretionary by default. It should be directed to buffers and inflation protection. Inflation reduces your purchasing power, and medical or capital expenses are inevitable. Therefore, use your surplus intentionally to build resilience. Next, understand that guaranteed income is designed to handle recurring operating expenses, not large, unexpected capital outlays. An emergency fund is distinct and should cover sudden needs like a roof replacement, HVAC failure, or specialized medical care. Target 6 to 18 months of expenses and keep this money liquid and accessible in vehicles like laddered certificates of deposit or high-yield savings accounts. Avoid assuming that a monthly pension or Social Security check can instantly cover a lump sum emergency. Meanwhile, compare guaranteed income and an emergency fund. Guaranteed income provides predictable monthly cash flow to cover operating costs and may include cost of living adjustments, though these can lag real inflation. It is not intended for lump sum shocks. The emergency fund offers immediate liquidity for large, unexpected expenses. It should be maintained in liquid, low-volatility accounts, such as high-yield savings, laddered certificates of deposit, or short-term treasuries. Generally, aim for 6 to 18 months of essential expenses. This buffer protects your long-term financial strategy. Now let's walk through a sample monthly picture. In this example, total guaranteed income is $4,000 from Social Security and a pension. Total predictable expenses are $3,450, leaving a surplus of $550. The surplus is then prioritized for saving and investing. 60% to the emergency fund for liquidity, 30% to inflation defense, and 10% to discretionary enjoyment. This is only an illustration, but it demonstrates how to structure a surplus for both protection and enjoyment. Next, here is your first quiz question. If your guaranteed income exceeds your predictable expenses by $400 per month, what should you do with the surplus first? Option A, spend it on leisure immediately. Option B, hold it in cash and never invest it. Option C, Actively save and invest it to preserve purchasing power and buffer future expenses. Option D. Reduce guaranteed income sources to avoid taxes. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. Moving on, the correct answer is to actively save and invest the surplus to preserve purchasing power and create a buffer for future expenses. This aligns your surplus with protection and preservation before discretionary spending. Consequently, you can relax spending only after two conditions are both satisfied. First, your consistent income must reliably exceed necessary expenses. Second, your emergency buffer must be fully funded and protected. When both are true, you can plan leisure within a predetermined, safe withdrawal rate from accessible retirement accounts. Ensure that withdrawals do not jeopardize your inflation protection or your buffers. Likewise, here are steps to build and protect your emergency buffer. First, set a target of 6 to 18 months of essential expenses. Second, select appropriate vehicles such as high-yield savings, laddered certificates of deposit, or short-term treasuries. Third, use a ladder so you have rolling liquidity. Fourth, automate transfers from your monthly surplus. Fifth, label the accounts clearly so they are not mistaken for discretionary funds. Sixth, if you draw from the buffer, refill it before resuming discretionary spending. Seventh, review the buffer annually and adjust for inflation and life changes. Now your second quiz question. Which emergency fund target best fits early retirees living on fixed income? Option A, 1 to 3 months of expenses kept in stocks. Option B, 6 to 18 months of essential expenses in liquid accounts. Option C, no emergency fund because guaranteed income is enough. Option D, use a line of credit instead of savings. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. Next, the correct answer is 6 to 18 months of essential expenses kept in liquid accounts. This ensures you have readily available funds for unexpected capital needs, while your guaranteed income continues to cover ongoing expenses. Finally, this mind map visualizes the early retirement safety net. At the center is the safety net. The income branch includes pension and Social Security. The expenses branch divides into operating, discretionary, and capital expenses. The buffers branch includes the emergency fund, insurance, and sinking funds for known future costs. The inflation protection branch covers tips, diversified equities, and cost of living adjustments. The controls branch emphasizes a budget, quarterly reviews, and planned cutbacks as needed. Together, these elements create a resilient framework for preserving your financial position. To recap the key points, retirement is defined by a positive difference between reliable income and necessary expenses. Surplus should be treated as protection capital and allocated to saving and investing first. An emergency fund is distinct from guaranteed income, and a target of 6 to 18 months is appropriate. Relax spending only when your surplus is consistent and your buffer is fully funded. Finally, review your plan quarterly and adjust for inflation and life changes. In summary, fixed income does not mean saving stops. Instead, the purpose of saving shifts to preservation and protection. Use your surplus to defend against inflation and big-ticket shocks. Prioritize liquidity before discretionary spending. Then, follow a cycle of planning, confirming buffers, taking safe withdrawals for enjoyment, and reviewing regularly. As a closing note, thank you for watching. If this content was helpful, please like the video, share it with someone who may benefit, and subscribe for more. In the comments, share your buffer target and the reasoning behind it.